The weight of an object on Earth varies directly as the weight of the same object on the Moon. Alright, so this is a direct variation question. And the reason why I know that is because the word varies directly. See, whenever you see the word varies directly, whatever's in front of it is your y value, whatever's in the back is your x value. So if you remember, k equals y over x. So I'm going to put this a little darker here. So y is the weight of an object on Earth. And the x value is going to be the weight of the object, of the same object on the Moon. Understand this is the same object. It'd be just like your body weight. So like your weight on the Moon varies directly as the weight of the object. I mean, your weight on the Earth varies directly to the weight of the Moon. All right, so it says here a 300-pound object would weigh 48 pounds on the Moon. So 300-pound object, well, that's, remember, k equals y over x, okay? And x, the 300-pound object, well, that means that's what the weight is on Earth. And so the Earth, the 300-pound object, would be on top. The would weigh 48 pounds on the Moon. That goes on the bottom because x is the same object on the bottom. How much would a 60-pound object weigh on the Moon? So that means, so otherwise, this is our direct variation here. All right, and there's a couple of ways we could do it. Like I said, we could do a proportion, or we could and solve it for the problem, or if they ask for an equation, we could do it that way as well. All right, so this is our k. So k is 300 over 48. And if you notice, they're both even, so I could divide both of these by, and I'm going to use 6 for example, so that would be 50 over 8. And then if I divide both of these by 2, that would be 25 over 4. And so it looks like our k would be 25 over 4. So then we have y equals kx. Alright, and so don't forget your y still is the weight on Earth and the weight on the Moon is x. Alright, it says how much would a 65-pound person weigh on the Moon? So we would say 65 because that's the weight of the object. It says how much would a 65-pound object weigh on the Moon? So that means they weigh 65 pounds on the Earth. And our equation looks like this, and we want to know how much weight would that be on the Moon. So this is a good question because you have a fraction next to a variable, and one way to do this is that we could take and we could divide 4 into 25 and get 6 1/4 or 6.25. So we could say 6.25 in this case for x. It's being multiplied by x. And then I can divide 6.25 into the other to get x by itself. So when we divide 6.25 by 6.25, this cancels out and becomes 1. So we have x equals, and now we divide 65 by 6.25, and remember that's just a decimal there. It's kind of like not, oh my gosh. And we should get around 10.4. So 10 pounds, almost 10.5 pounds. All right, now I could have done this in a fraction form, so I'm going to show you that as well. So my answer is 10.4, but how could I have done it if I just did it fraction form? I could multiply the reciprocal to both sides, so that means divide, do it like this. These would cancel out, so I'd have x. And then on this side, I could reduce this, divide by 5, that's going to be 13. And then you could see, multiply that together, you would get 52 over 5, which is 10.4. So same thing. Now, we could have also done it as a proportion. All right, so there's two ways there that I showed you. But since they're not asking you for an equation, you could have done it just simply as a proportion. And so I'm going to do that real quick as a proportion. So like we talked about earlier, what we talked about earlier is that we have pounds on Earth and what the object weighs pounds on the moon. And so just like we have our y and k, it's still our y and x though. So we'd have 300 over 48, because this is 300 pounds, how much would 48 on the moon? So 48's on the bottom, 300's on top. Then this is how much would 65 pounds weigh on the moon? So 65 has to be on top and the x on the bottom. And then this is where you can do your cross multiplication, where you take 300x and then you'd multiply 65 and 48. Alright, so if you take 65 times 48, so I'm going to write it where you do it. 300x equals 65. So otherwise you multiply on these two. You get 3,120. Now divide both sides by 300. And you get x equals 10. So you divide 3,120 divided by 300. And you get 10.4, just like we've been getting. So you still can get the same answer no matter which way you do it.